to the Sportcat Show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. You have the one, the only Sportcat. I am here with you today, and I can confirm that I am not the Pope. So it's not me. I don't know what to say. So.
You are fake news.
Well, there is that. Everybody come over, join the chat. Denise is here. Welcome, Denise. As always, it's a pleasure to see you. Hello, Wendell. You too. Chris, always great to see you. Chris, I wanted to message you and tell you I didn't post a lot of those comments last night because I respected you, and you'll know what I'm talking about. And yes, I did hand Miss Ginger off. She is getting a facial, and they're draining the other end, and then she's getting some treats and a bath and a grooming and all that good stuff. So maybe I will post pictures if anybody's interested on the Facebook page. Hello, Ken. Welcome. KG. Welcome. So that's, yep. All right. So Wendell wants to know if I know Martin Groves. I met him at the movie premiere. So, and no, she is inside the van. So, I'm sorry to hear that about him. I'm sorry to hear that. Me and him are supposed to go up to the land between the lakes. He invited me to come up there this summer. So I'm hoping that I get to do that. All right. Well, we're running a few behind because, we did have that. And the breaking news, Ross held the thing up a little bit as we were discussing it. In case you don't know, there is a new pontiff. I do not know the pontiff's name or who he is or who he was. Well, I guess you could say who he was because he changed his name. So I don't know who he is or who he was. That is correct. And so I have the TV on here. If I catch it out of the corner of my eye, I'll let you all know. But for the moment, I have no idea. I'm watching a camera. It's a drone swarming over a large mass of people outside the cathedral. So, all right. So I guess we will be soon adding this to in today's history. So, all right. Well, today is May 8th, and it is National Iris Day. They're a beautiful flower. Not my favorite, but they're a beautiful flower. It's Jamestown's Day, and that's in Colonial, Virginia. It's a beautiful little town if you ever get a chance to go. Make a Book Day. Interesting. Celebrate the ability of books to open doors in other realms. I am working on a book. And National Amyloidosis Day. Let's check that one out because I'm not familiar with that, and I like to discuss medical things. It's observed May 8th every year in Australia. Well, our Radio X Australian crew will appreciate this. The holiday was registered by Miss Tricia Gardner Wilson of the Adam Gardner Fund Incorporated in conjunction with the Westmead Amyloidosis Center to create awareness about amyloidosis, then raise funds for further research into the disease. It is a rare condition caused by the buildup of amyloid in certain parts of the body. Every year, amyloidosis claims 1 in 1,000 lives. That's interesting. So it is a rare disease caused by an abnormal protein called amyloid produced in the bone marrow, which can be deposited in tissues, organs, and other parts of the body. Organs that may be affected by the disease include the heart, liver, spleen, kidneys, nervous system, and digestive tracts. Those are all very bad places for it to be. In 2016, Mrs. Tricia Gardner Wilson of the Adam Gardner, and I may be pronouncing that wrong, and I apologize, Fund Incorporated, in conjunction with the Westmead Amyloidosis Center. It's funny, I can pronounce that, but I can't pronounce the name. Registered the holiday as the Australian National Amyloidosis Day. The AGF is nonprofit that provides support and awareness for amyloidosis to raise funds to support the clinic. And she created the holiday in honor of her late husband, who passed away as a result of amyloidosis, the daughter of Gary Paxton, who had recently been diagnosed. Also pitched in contribution to the holiday's development. She proposed adoption of a red ribbon with the words Amyloidosis Day as a symbol for the holiday. Unfortunately, Vincent lost her father to the disease in 2018. Thankfully, the ribbon was quickly adopted by patients and family members affected by amyloidosis. So a She made a box of red ribbons and sold for a gold coin to raise money for the Princess Alexandria Hospital. Gold coin. 1639, it was discovered. 1989, they had their first symposium on it. And then the clinic opened in 2007. And 2016 is when they registered the day. Now, I want to know, because me being the medical guy, what are the signs and symptoms of this? Because I've never heard of this. I'm always fascinated by this. So you guys got to humor me for a minute. A rare condition. Yeah, we know about that. It also makes me sound like gout to me. Common symptoms: fatigue and weakness. Can cause significant fatigue and weakness due to the buildup of deposits in various organs. Swelling in the legs, ankles, or abdomen can occur due to the fluid buildup. That makes sense because of gravity. Numbness and tingling, nerve damage from amyloid deposits can cause pain, numbness, or tingling in the hands or feet. Weight loss is a common symptom. Gastrointestinal issues, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, difficulty swallowing can occur if the tract is involved. Interesting. And skin changes, easily bruising, purplish patches, or other skin changes may be observed. A swollen tongue or macroalgia can result from amyloid deposits in the tongue. In the heart, it can cause congestive heart failure, abnormal heart rhythms, and other conditions. It can also lead in the kidneys to failure. Okay, well, it sounds like a pretty serious thing. I had never heard of it, and it reminds me almost of gout, because if you know, gout is also a crystal, and it does build up in your lower extremities, and it is extremely painful. Don't ever let anybody tell you it's not. It is. So we are hoping that maybe someone listening today can benefit from learning a little bit about that disease. We catch up in the chat here and see what's going on. Let's see, he's fighting for pneumonia. Yes, we're praying for him. Let's see. I would expect that. Chris knew that. Okay, good. All right, Chris. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to upset him, but I wanted you to know why I did it. Please, in all excitement over the Pope, do not forget to continue your appreciation of Dr. Mark A. Groh. Can't forget Doc. He's an important guy. And Wendell says, I need to make a book on my life, but they probably would want it be listed as science fiction. As long as it's not listed as porn, Wendell. All right, it's National Animal Disaster Preparedness Day, and this is something few people think about, but you should always have a way of getting out for you and your pet. And I encourage people to have a smoke detector, obviously, outside the bedroom door, and obviously outside the kitchen, the laundry area, those places, in addition to the weather radio with 2 types of power. I also encourage people to have a fire extinguisher in their bedroom. And the reason I say that is, let's say you live in a rural area and you have to fight your way out. That could be your way out. So think about that. It needs to be a relatively large one, so it's going to be kind of an eyesore. But in case you don't have a window you can smash, you're on a 3rd or 4th story, or you've got a tiny bathroom window that you know you'll never fit through, or the firemen will never fit through. That's why they're changing code on a lot of things. Be thinking of those things. Know your escape route in advance. And when you're doing it, prepare your pets, because I can tell you they're going to freak out. Every pet I've ever rescued in a building, except for the lizard, we have found in a closet, under a bed, or hiding, much like children, because they're obviously scared by the beeping of the smoke detector, the vision change with the smoke. And of course, they can smell much greater than us. And by the time that the smoke gets down to them, it's even more dense, and they go into areas to hide. So have a leash and a collar, a crate, and a way of getting out for you and your animals, all of your loved ones. And Denise is saying that she has seen that is Pope Robert Francis. And Wendell says he has most of those symptoms. Well, Wendell, you need to go to the doctor and get checked out if that is the case. So it's National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. That's a very important thing that we don't really think about. We take it for granted. But the kids can be depressed, especially after the C virus ran through the country. And now that so many are isolated just because they stay with their computer, the glass eye. All right. Well, I'm not a fan of this. It's National Coconut Cream Pie Day. Yuck. Ooh. National Dakota Day. I heard my mom groan down there when I said that. National Dakota Day. Well, if you know somebody named Dakota, send a message and say, hey, it's your day. Well, here, this will cheer mom up. It is National Give Someone a Cupcake Day. So she can fatten me up by giving me a chocolate cupcake. So there you go. It's National Have a Coke Day. Well, I already had my 2 Mountain Dews for the morning. If you know somebody named Maria, it's National Maria Day. It's National Nova Day. It's a unique name that is, well, needs to be celebrated, all right? National Report Government Contractor Fraud Day. Well, I think Doge has got that one handled already. National Student Nurse Day. All right. That's good. We do need to thank them because, believe it or not, it's hard to get through nursing school. No Socks Day. Well, I celebrate that with No Pants Day. Reward Yourself Day. Well, I will eat the cupcake my mom makes for me. How about that? Time of Remembrance and Reconciliation for those who lost their lives during WW2. Yes, we should be thankful. We should be thankful for all of our veterans. It's Truman Day, so they want to celebrate and commemorate President Harry S. Truman's birth and honor him. Okay. Victory Day in Europe. Well, we definitely want to celebrate that when they were victorious in Europe over the Nazis. It's White Lotus Day. Those are like lilies, aren't they? Don't they grow in water? It's World Donkey Day. Well, there's one right down the street, so I will go down there and thank him today. World Ovarian Cancer Day. World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day. They have been part of my life. They have not only, they were some of the first people to teach me CPR and American First Aid, but when I've been out of the country, we've utilized their services as a flight medic. Today is Enrico Iglesias. Well, it's his birthday. Isn't that Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen's family? I'm not sure. Maybe not. It's Harry S. Truman. We already said that. Trisha Paytas birthday. Okay. Well, happy birthday, Miss Trisha Paytas. Let's go on and see what other kind of trouble we can get into today. And we see, we'll just do this one because, well, it might give us something new. Have a Coke Day. We talked about that. Well, nothing new there. Nothing to see here, folks. So, all right. I might just give up on that site. So, today in history, and let me catch up here. The sad thing is, I haven't done nothing. Well, Wendell, that may be the problem because if you're not doing anything, all of your bodily fluids are sitting with the gravity and pulling to your lower extremities, your buttocks, and your feet. So think about that. And the only coconuts are good for suntan oil. I do like the smell of that. I got a hot fudge sundae the other day. Well, they do make hot fudge cupcakes. All right. So in 1753, a guy named Miguel Hidalgo is born. He was a Roman Catholic priest and father of Mexican independence, born in Guanajuato, Mexico in 1810. He gave an impassioned speech known as the Cry of Dolores, urging the Mexican people to rise up against the Spanish colonizers. This call to arms sparked the Mexican War of Independence. Hidalgo gathered an army of 90,000 farmers and poor citizens in his march across Mexico, but he was captured and executed in 1811. Now, as a priest, why was he doing that? I thought they were about peace. In 1886, the first Coca-Cola is sold. Well, I can get down with that. Dr. John Pemberton, he is the inventor of Coca-Cola in Atlanta, Georgia. He sold the first glass of the new soda at Jacob's Pharmacy in Atlanta. He had created the drink about a month earlier and brought a jug of it to a pharmacy on May 8th to test its potential as a retail product. It was sold for 5 cents per glass. In the first year, an average of 9 drinks were sold a day. He sold his interest in this business in 1888 and died without ever knowing how monumental of a success he had. The original one had Coca-Cola or cocaine in it and sugar. 2 ingredients they no longer have. They can bring back one of them. Wendell said I misread his statement. I don't know where Brenda is. Well, Wendell, I'm sorry if you said you have most of those symptoms. And he said, and you said you hadn't done anything. Well, okay, all right. Mount in 1902, Mount Pelée erupts, and where is that? That is, I'm going to guess, France. Where is it? A Caribbean island, destroying Saint Pierre. Okay. It is VE Day, 1945. Germany surrenders to the Allies. 1950, the Tolland man is found, a 2,400-year corpse, so well preserved that scientists could retrieve his fingerprints, was found in Denmark. I did not know that. 1991, Paula Jones claims that Bill Clinton sexually harassed her. Paula Jones was an Arkansas civil servant, and that claims that Bill Clinton harassed her at a conference at the Elixir Hotel in Little Rock. In 2018, Riley Gall is sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Emma Walker. Okay, she was sentenced for the murder of Emma Walker, formerly Walker's boyfriend, who was possessed with maintaining relationship, even goes so far as to kidnap her to get her attention. He walked around the outside of her home and fired shots through her bedroom, and they found her dead in the bed the next day. In a videotape confession, he would eventually they would eventually convict Gall of murder. Okay. I guess that is an important case. I'm not sure why. American Cardinal Prevost. Okay, I don't know where he's from. I'm assuming that's him waving now to the crowd. So it's Cardinal Prevost, and Denise, you said it was going to be. Well, let me scroll back here. What did Denise say his papal name would be? I saw it here somewhere. Pope Robert Francis. Okay, so Pope Robert Francis is our new pontiff. Wendell says, the sad thing is I went to the doctor and he has done nothing for it. Well, Wendell, I'm going to be honest with you. It is your responsibility to take care of your medical care in these days. And if your doctor's not doing anything, you have to take it into your own hands and find either another doctor or push. Chris says he's from Chicago. So does that make him the first American pontiff? Is that correct? Because I don't believe there has been one. I think there was one from the Americas, but I don't ever think there was one from the United States. 1660, English Parliament proclaims Charles II King of England and invites him to return. So tell me something here. I'm not up on my royal history. Why do they just invite you to be king? What made that guy so special? The first installment of Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales is published by C.A. Reitzel in Copenhagen in 1835. I think we all read that growing up. 1895, China succeeds Taiwan to Japan under the Treaty of Shimonoseki, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. We talked about the island erupting. It is VE Day. It is World Health Organization against smallpox. Oh, no, it is not. 1980, the World Health Organization announced smallpox has been eradicated. Very good. 2007, a new Northern Ireland executive is formed with Ian Paisley, a Democratic Unionist Party, as First Minister, and Martin McGuinness, Sinn Féin, as Deputy Minister. Today in film, 1958, classic Hammer horror film Dracula is released, starring Christopher Lee as the eponymous vampire alongside Peter Cushing, and directed by Terrence Fisher. I really like the old classic horror movies where they weren't all about just slicing your throat and leaving you to lay to die or cutting you up with a chainsaw. 1979, The Cure released their album Three Imaginary Boys, Boys Don't Cry, in the United States and Australia. 1984, the Soviet Union announced it will not participate in the Los Angeles Summer Olympics in retaliation for the American boycott of the 1980 Moscow Olympics. Man, they held a grudge for a while, didn't they? Get over it already. Let the kids play. Come on. All right. So I said that I was going to keep this going with some Mother's Day gifts. So let's see. I'm going to catch up in the chat here. I like Emma Watson's video after she left Harry Potter. Okay. Wendell could always go visit Dr. Mark A. Groh. Well, you know, he's pretty prominent, but he wants to go see Dr. Kevorkian. Oh, Wendell, what can I do to you? Oh, Lord. All right, so let's see. We're going to start out. There are 37 of them, or 27 of them. We're kind of on a light news day because of the pontiff's announcement, so we're going to have a little fun for a little bit. Let the major news media and everybody else handle the new pontiff. Russia, Chris says Russia stayed away in 1984 to avoid that ass whipping. That's right. We did take over for hockey. So the number one gift, according to this list, and let's see who gives us this list. This list is brought to us. Well, who brought us this list? This is why I'm broke. Okay, so it's a website. All right, so gear up for your most hilarious Mother's Day yet. All right, so here we go. Number one, There Are Moms Way Worse Than You book. It's $10.48 on Amazon. Make your mom feel better about the questionable job she did raising you with a book all about animal and insects that have done a much worse job. At least she's not like the praying mantis or a small spider that eats their young. Yes, that would suck. A personalized historic photo. Your mom is a work of art, so why not transform her into an actual piece of artwork? You can order your personalized print there. Okay. All right. Here, this one might be from Mrs. Sportcat. Porn for women of a certain age. $7.01 on Amazon. Your mom thinks Timothy Chalamet is a brand of champagne. She overlooks at this point porn for women of a certain age that will present her with pics of silver foxes in situations that'll really tickle her fancy, like she's doing the dishes and balancing a checkbook. I might get in trouble from that one. I've seen these do-it-yourself magic flying butterfly card. You open up the card, and out of it comes a butterfly flying, and it's not a real butterfly. It's a paper mache thing. So they're really cool. The kids would probably do this to me on Father's Day. The gift of nothing. Mom always says that she doesn't want anything as her favorite child. You who are you not to give her something she doesn't want? This is the gift of nothing. There is absolutely nothing inside the impossible to open container. What more could a mom ask for? Well, this will be forwarded to my children tonight. Wine bottle attachment, wine bottle glass attachment. On Mother's Day, I need to get this for my mom. On Mother's Day, mom is allowed to skip the glass and go straight for the bottle. With this clever glass attachment, she'll retain some class, even though she's going 3 sheets to the wind, drinking the whole shebang. Slips right into the neck of the bottle, and it will not leak. Celebrity prayer camel. Prayer camel. You get a prayer camel. Oh, Lord. Prayer candle. Your mother needs to pray to the saint of something to keep you safe, so it might as well be someone famous with one of these hilarious prayer candles. And let's see, I see who do I see? There's Spock. I see Nicolas Cage. That's the guy from Eastbound and Down. And the one hold on here. Where is it? I gotta find it. That's one of my favorites here. Hold on. This guy.
No, for your information, I have full-size balls.
That guy. That's my guy. Samuel, I believe there. And is that DiCaprio? So, all right. He was born in 1955. He's the first American Pope, Robert Prevost. Man, he's young for a pope. Wow. That's the youngest. Wow. That's pretty young. Wow. All right. Someone needs to open a restaurant named I Don't Care That. Wait a minute. Someone needs to open a restaurant named I Don't Care That way. When your wife says, I don't care, that's where you go. Amen, brother. Life is hard. Number 8 comes in, and life is hard, but at least your children aren't ugly. Life sucks when you die, but your mom's life is a little better because you're attractive. In the end, it speaks to her attractiveness, because with 50% of her genes, you had to get those good looks from somewhere. You're smoking hot. This candle burns hotter and smells even better than it looks. Well, I will not recommend that to my children. Now here, this is one I can get behind from Mrs. Sportcat. The Tata Towel Bra. Yes, every woman knows the pleasure of taking her bra off at the end of a long day. But what if the girls want to be cleaned and cradled? Well, the Tata Towel is mom's post-shower answer to dry the tatas, that can breathe freely under the cotton terry love. I'm going to spend so much money between now and the end of the week. Mrs. Sportcat will love that with the cookbook I'll get her. The number 10, the shit I can't remember password journal. Yeah, I need to get that one for some family members. The Dear Mom coffee mug. Dear Mom, thanks for putting up with a spoiled, ungrateful, messy, bratty child like my sibling. I have no siblings, so I can't get that. A Black & Decker beverage container machine. I did not know that was even a thing. A Black & Decker beverage container machine. The machine taps into one of her 5 favorite bottles of liquor and mixes and delivers the drink of her choice in 4 sizes. Wow. And you can also use drink pods to add extra flavors. Wow. I've never heard of Black & Deckers in the liquor business. Back and Body Hurts novelty t-shirt. Well, yes, millennial moms, Gen X moms, and boomer moms can all relate to this. After putting on their bifocals, the mamas will need about 30 seconds to read the design on the shirt, process it, and start to laugh. Give them a minute. They're old now. It says Back and Body Hurts. Number 14, so I can see the kids buying this from me. I used to be a cool mug. This was a day when mom was her own snack bitch. Hold on, we're just going to try this all over again. There was a day when mom was her own snack bitch. Today she's a little person's snack bitch. That's what happens when you have kids, and mom will never forget that she has to share her snacks now thanks to this mug that she'll have to share in 15 years when her kiddo starts drinking coffee. Never pick the habit up. Mom's last nerve candle. Oh, look, it's on fire. I like that. You're a cool mom self-care box. She's cooler than a cool mom with a self-care box in her bathroom. She feels hotter than hot because it's a bath time. The time you dreaded as a kid is the time your mom cherishes now. She'll love you basking in aromatic scents as skin-nourishing ingredients in this box of handmade goodies. Personalized face apron. Remind mom who's making decision cookies. Hold on, I just read that wrong. Remind mom who she's making delicious cookies for, or treat her to an apron that no one will ever dare to take by plastering a face all over it. It could be yours, it could be hers, it could be the dog's. The adjustable apron fits any mom. I guess they're saying it's for plus size moms there, and will protect her against errant batter. Artesian chocolate vegetables. Okay, that's just a sin. Why would you make chocolate in the shape of vegetables? It's in the shape of corn, broccoli, asparagus, onion, and mushrooms. Yuck. Well, here we go. Guilty Pleasures Sexy Scottish Man Wall Calendar. If your mom is like most other moms, she's thirsty for that guy on Outlander. Don't know who he is. With his Guilty Pleasures Sexy Scottish Man Wall Calendar, mama can look at his Scottish snacks every month. After all, the only thing hotter than a man in uniform, I did wear a uniform for many years, is one with an accent. Lobster sandals. I don't even want to go on with that. A journal called F, this shit show gratitude journal. Well, okay. It's definitely not Hallmark. It involves swearing like a pirate and getting you really effing passionate about what you're thankful for. That's exactly how it goes down in this peppy pineapple journal. All right. Sorry, I'm the reason you pee mug comes in at number 22. Mom hasn't sneezed, laughed, or coughed once since you were born without wetting herself a little. Would she ever tell you that? Hell no. But you can now know that she knows that you know, and you're sorry with a mug. Giving her coffee almost makes up for it. I'm sorry, I'm the reason you pee a little when you sneeze. Number 23, the mug is of all the vaginas in the world mug. There are a lot of vaginas on the planet. Almost 4 billion. We talked about this last night. Maybe more, but you came out of just one. That one vagina belongs to your mother. And now that you're thinking about a vagina, you can make everything awkward and hilarious with this mug. Of all the vaginas in the world, I'm so glad I tumbled out of yours. A comfy sweatshirt day. How to sell feet pics online. Yeah. Calm the F down bath salts. Garden genie claw gloves. That sounds like something that Amanda would enjoy. It's every rose has its thorn. They scratch mom, making this new gardening back to can scratch back. These garden gloves are clawed and have tough tips to allow them to dig through the soil. Oh, I'm sorry, Abe. Making it easier to plant and weed her garden. Rec room experience. Oh, I've seen these. You go in and you beat things up with a bat or a baton or throw things. Yeah, you could buy mom that. And then some moms cuss too much t-shirt. There are two kinds of moms that swear and moms that are liars. This hilarious t-shirt pays homage to the moms that use the four-letter words frequently. All right, Mrs. Sportcat would fit into that. How mom tells time wall. It's a shelf that has two mugs in the AM and two glasses of wine or two wine chalet holders for the PM. The funny dish towel. Well, you could get that. I'll just leave my joke there. Mom Life adult coloring book. We talked about this last night on the show. I did not know there was coloring books for certain things. The F it bucket mom affirmation tokens. Well, when she feels like saying F it, she opens up the little bottle and pulls out her affirmation. Funny peeing cowboy planter. All right, that's a cowboy that is peeing. All right. Whenever I'm late anyways, the numbers are all on the left. Personalized my favorite child. Well, it's a mug that you can personalize that has your name on it. Before you drink gummy. Mom loves some wine. Does she have time for a hangover? With before you drink gummies, the hangover will be stopped in its tracks thanks to a patented blend of herbs and vitamins. The little bear will protect Mama Bear from feeling a bear of a headache the next morning. Couldn't everybody benefit from that one? The Golden Girls Mad Libs. All right, everybody. Well, most of us are young and remember the Mad Libs. And Schitt's Creek Mother's Day wine labels. A donut bouquet. There you go. You're my national treasure mug. When you and your mom are discussing the finer points of Nicolas Cage acting career, she's drinking from a mug that reminds her she's in the footstep of legends. The national treasure mug is imprinted with a design that will make mom feel like the gem she is. Bob Ross waffle maker. Now, who doesn't want a Bob Ross waffle maker? Find your inner peace in the sweet embrace of carbs with a Bob Ross waffle maker. It makes 6-inch waffles featuring Bob's head or a 7-inch waffle imprinted with Bob's iconic smile. An inflatable foot spa. That's a good idea. Sippable wine glasses. Now that's a cool idea. It looks kind of like a peace pipe. It's a glass wine chalice with a glass straw that comes out of the bottom that you sip out of, kind of like a peace pipe. Moan and move on mindfulness journal. Well, sometimes you just have to have a good old grumble. Go on, go for it, let it rip and let it out. Moan and move on. It's a little sticky pad. I didn't end up, I thought there was only 27 of these. I didn't end up in jail. A funny candle. Instead of 3 hots in a cot, you're sleeping in a shoebox sized studio apartment. Instead of talking through plexiglass, you send emojis to each other on Facebook. Thanks to her, you're not in jail. And thanks to your mom's house, thanks to you, your mom's house will smell extra nice because she'll light this candle as soon as she gets it. The Cat Butt Adult Coloring Book. A personalized face hoodie blanket. All right. The self-help book called Let S Go. I can just say it. Let Shit Go. Self-help journal. I'm still hot. It just comes in flashes. It's a sign that mom puts on her desk. Good moms let you lick the beaters. Well, that's true. They do. Mom's S-list shirt. A sriracha bottle keychain. Hey, don't joke. That's good stuff. Oh, here you go, Wendell. Here you go, Wendell. Pay attention right here. For Cheyenne, you can get this for her. Dill pickle lip balm. So joke toilet paper gift in a bottle. It's a little tiny glass that says, break this. This is for the gift that this is the best gift I could give you on Mother's Day. It's a little bottle with a little teeny tiny toilet roll in it. They'll not shall not try me. Mom's funny mug. How many we go get left here? Good Lord, does this ever stop? I'm gonna have to stop soon because we get things to do. All right, we're just gonna hit the highlights. Mombi keychain, funny wine labels, hot flush novelty soap, Nicolas Cage oven mitt. All right. All right, I think that's it. So let's get out of this. Let's move on. Let's talk about some real stuff. Let me catch up in the chat here because I believe Denise gave me some breaking news. Born in 1955, and his name will be Leo. Is that the 14th? Leo the 14th? And he's talking in Italian. I'm surprised I can understand him. Interesting. Do you know what a hammer drill crossed with a prostitute is called? As Wendell. Put the south end on the northbound of the donkey on that apron. Last night's puppet would always make a great gift. That's true, Chris. That's true. Maybe I should get that and give it to Mrs. Sportcat. Wendell says his favorite child is someone else's. Oh, come on, Wendell. But so you are saying you didn't reproduce. Good news there. Let's see. And then for some reason the chat is repeating itself. Yeah, the chat's repeating itself from there for some reason, and I don't know why, but okay, we're still live, so that's all that matters. Let me get to the end of this because, good Lord, it went all the way back to the beginning. Please, in all my excitement of the new pump, do not forget to continue their appreciate Dark Aim Wall. Yeah. We do have the new pontiff, so yes. I don't know why it did that. All right, so welcome, soul. Welcome. A Bob Ross. Yeah, I agree. All right, so we'll start off with a letter to Dear Prudence. And it starts out with, help, our guest bathroom just exploded, and my husband is on a mission to punish the culprit. I can't believe he's even suggesting this. Dear Prudence, the toilet in our guest bathroom recently leaked all over the floor. It turned out the cause was a broken beeswax toilet seat. 2 days before the leak occurred, my husband and I had one of my friends, they're going to call her Rhonda, over for dinner, and she used the bathroom while she was here. Rhonda weighs in at over 300 pounds, and my husband is not only insisting that she was responsible for the cracked toilet seal, he also wants her to reimburse us for what it costs to have a plumber come out and fix it. There is no proof that the seal gave out because of Rhonda's use of the toilet. I am horrified my husband would suggest such a thing, and we have been fighting over it since, logically, if she had broken it, the toilet would have leaked immediately. How can I get him to come to his senses? Signed, a weighty issue. All right, well, this is yes, I saw that, Saul. This is a serious topic here that someone needs to address. That's not a plumber, but Prudence weighs in. I wonder what number your husband has in his head when it comes to how heavy someone would have to be blamed and charged for drinking a toilet. 300, 350, 200, 175. My guess is that number is whatever someone happens to weigh, if I personally think they're too fat. I also wonder if Rhonda had been a 300-pound, 7-foot-tall bodybuilding man and the toilet seat had broken after his visit, would your husband be suggesting that you send a bill for the repair? Something tells me he wouldn't have the same instinct in that case. If this story involved someone whose body your husband thought was acceptable, he'd have simply hired a handyman for the fix in the same way that you would a gate that broke after a guest closed it or a doorbell that stopped working right after they walked in. What I'm getting at is that he is using the incident to try and punish Rhonda for being fat. It's totally insensitive to her feeling, but it's more than that. It's a way to deliberately hurt her, and that's really mean and awful. All right. Well, I'll let the chat weigh in on that. She goes on. I'm not sure how you can get him to come to his senses. Honestly, these kinds of feelings are really deeply held. And I think some people cling to vilifying others based on their bodies so that they can feel better about themselves. If your husband is one of them, you're not going to change that one in conversation. So obviously, put your foot down about billing Rhonda, but also, consider protecting her feelings in ways that go beyond the incident. I think that means keeping her away from your husband as much as possible. There's no way that his reaction to the toilet seal is the only way is the only way his fat phobia and his enthusiasm for hurting people whose body he doesn't like will rear its head. All right, well, let the chat weigh in there. What do you think? Should Rhonda be billed for the broken toilet seal? I think it's interesting how she went the other way with that, but we'll leave it at that. All right, so this comes to us from the Smoking Gun. It came out yesterday. It occurred at 3 a.m. the night before. A nurse has been accused of shoving cheesy nacho down the leggings of her wife during a 3 a.m. domestic battery, according to the Floridian police. Investigators say that the 40-year-old victim was making nachos with nacho cheese in the kitchen when her spouse, Alyssa Swan, she's age 39, pictured below, told her she shouldn't be eating this late and made a comment about her weight. Here we go. Another fat thing. Wonder she broke the toilet. During the argument that ensued, Swan, who had been playing video games in the living room, walked over to her spouse, grabbed a handful of the cheesy nachos, and shoved them down the back of the victim's leggings. Okay, why was she wearing leggings? When the victim, who is also a registered nurse, subsequently sought to change her clothes, Swan allegedly dragged her to the floor and shoved her fingers into either side of her mouth and hooked them like a fish, then continued to batter her by grabbing her head and slamming it into the floor multiple times. Okay. During the confrontation, the victim told police Swan made several comments that she was the one in charge and that her wife was not behaving. A friend of the victim called 911 to report the hearings that he heard on an open phone line of Swan striking her spouse. When police responded to the couple's Port St. Lucie, it's always Florida, residence Saturday morning, Swan denied that a physical altercation occurred. She claimed her wife had been in a drunken rage and had thrown a plate of nachos and rolled around and covered herself in nacho cheese. That seems legitimate. However, an examination of the victim's leggings revealed what appeared to be nacho cheese on the interior backside, consistent with the story. A substance resembling nacho cheese was found smeared on a wall. The victim also had a knot on her forehead and a scratch on her right arm. And while Swan claimed her spouse had thrown the nachos, cops found the ceramic plate they were prepared on completely intact. I wonder if they ate any of them to make sure they were good. Pictured above, Swan was arrested for domestic battery, a misdemeanor. She was freed from the county jail Sunday morning after posting $250 bond. As a condition of her release, she was ordered to have no contact with the victim, and she must stay away from the woman's car, place of employment, and home. Since Swan resides with the victim, she may return to the residence accompanied by police to retrieve her belongings. All right. It says 2 pages, but I don't see a continue. All right, so there you go. Two nurses get into a tussle over nachos because one nurse thinks the other nurse was too chunky. What I'm assuming leggings like sweat leggings is what I don't think they're like hose. I don't know though. What do I know? I don't understand women's clothing. All right, so we'll stay with the fat theme. Pop Tarts is expanding. Now, who does not love Pop Tarts? It's the perfect food that will never expire. Pop Tart is now expanding into the freezer aisle with ice cream sandwiches and pints. Let's check out the flavors. All right, if you ever wanted to combine your breakfast and dessert, now is your chance. Kellanova, the parent company of the popular brands such as Pringles, Rice Krispie Treats, Cheez-Its, and Pop Tarts, announced May 8th, that is today, that Pop Tarts would be expanding to the freezer aisle with a lineup of sandwich ice creams and pints. According to a news release from the company, Pop Tarts Pints blends indulgent ice cream with flavor swirls and pastry style pieces, while the sandwiches feature creamy ice cream flavored between two flavor-filled pastry style ends. The ice cream sandwiches will be available in 3 flavors: frosted brown sugar cinnamon, frosted strawberry, okay, now we're getting somewhere, frosted chocolate fudge. There we go. That's it. That's going to have to be on the Sportcat grocery shopping list. The pints, meanwhile, will be available in the frosted brown sugar cinnamon, frosted strawberry, and frosted s'mores flavors. So we will start seeing them in freezers soon, and that's what they will look like. Although there's no specific date given on the release, Walmart, of course it's Walmart, will be the initial release of the ice cream pints later this summer, and then they will roll out the other things. Oh, and they're also going to have Eggo Rice Krispie Treats ice cream sandwiches. Eggo, Lego my Eggo. What flavor was it? Eggo. Let's see. That's coming out next month, or it's already coming out. And it's a brand built on delicious flavors and playful spirit. The frozen debut captures the energy perfect. All right. What flavor is Eggo? Lego my Eggo. It's a pancake, right? All right, so there's pancake flavor. I don't think I'd like a pancake flavored ice cream sandwich or ice cream, but I definitely could get behind a chocolate fudge Pop-Tart ice cream sandwich, because you know that stuff is going to not only make you fat, it's going to harden your arteries right up. Yes. I'm all in on that one. All right, we'll go to this story. We're running out of time already because of the Mother's Day gifts. A Virginia man has been arrested for murder after 18-year-old Michael Bosworth Jr. was shot dead after he and friends performed a ding-dong ditch prank for a TikTok video. A popular childhood prank has cost a Virginia teen his life. Michael Bosworth, a senior at Massaponax High School, was shot dead May 3rd while doing ding-dong ditch pranks. His friend, who was grazed by a bullet, told authorities, according to NBC4 Washington. A third, who was not injured during the incident, confirmed to the officials that they had, in fact, filmed the video of the prank. The Fredericksburg Free Star Lance newspaper cites an affidavit for a search warrant filed in Spotsylvania court. Also reports that a wounded juvenile told police that the shooting followed a ding-dong ditch, and a detective wrote that the boy told him that he and his friends had pulled it a couple times prior to the shooting in a bid to post it on TikTok. The boys also told police that he was not familiar with the neighborhood, and when the shooting occurs, the teens were running away and looking for a place to hide, the newspaper said. On May 3rd, 2025, at approximately 3 a.m., the Spotsylvania Sheriff's Department received a call for a residential burglary in progress, where a resident had fired shots. Authorities confirmed in a press release. Deputies responded to the area of McKenzie Lane and discovered that 2 individuals had sustained gunshot wounds and a third was unharmed. Bosworth was treated at a local hospital where he succumbed to his injuries, while his friend was treated for minor injuries and released. Fredericksburg homeowner Tyler Chase Butler was arrested May 6 in connection with the death. He is charged with second-degree murder and felony assault with firearm use in the commission of a felony first offense, according to the Spotsylvania court records obtained by E. Butler, who is being held in jail without bond, told investigators before his arrest that the teens were trying to break into his home, NBC Washington reported. The shooting took place hours before the high school prom and less than 2 weeks before graduation. On May 6th, several of Bosworth's friends released helium balloons on the school's football field to honor him in his memory. All right, so apparently he was a freshman on the football team. All right, well, TikTok has done it again. I'll just leave it at that. Let's see. No, go away, you kick person. I don't know who you are. Let me go back through the chat here. Yes. Okay. I asked her, Chris says, I asked her if those leggings were mine, and she said, no, that's just nacho pants. Oh, Chris, you're funny. You're funny. All right. So this one comes to us. A woman missing for 60 years has been found alive. A Wisconsin woman who disappeared more than 60 years ago has been found alive by authorities. Audrey Backenberg left her Reedsburg home in July of 1962 when she was 20 years old. A press release from the Sauk County Sheriff's Office said. During a review of cold cases earlier this year, a detective reassessed the initial evidence and re-interviewed several witnesses. Sheriff Chip Meister said in the release. Why it matters? Well, law enforcement departments across the country have been reviewing cold case with the aid of new DNA technology. If you remember, one of the big companies went out of business and, well, the government took possession of it, including the self-submit websites such as Ancestry.com, which I believe my wife submitted me, so they'll probably be looking for me soon. As such sites have expanded, so have the number of solved cold cases, although not many cases result in a positive ending, especially over a half century later. You can go back and check out one of my Grin and Guardian shows. We had a retired colonel, I believe he was, from the Fairfax County Police Department, and he was the one that was spearheading this actual thing and the technology as well as the investigative process for handling these cold cases. He's now based out of Denver, Colorado. A babysitter for the Backenberg family originally told investigators that she and Aubrey had hitchhiked to Madison, where they caught a bus to Indianapolis, according to a missing poster that was on the Wisconsin DOJ website. The babysitter said she last saw her walking away from the bus stop on the corner around July 7th, 1962. Detectives were able to determine that she did leave her own home on her own accord, and she is now 82, was found living out of state, and confirmed to law enforcement she decided to leave and had not been the victim of a crime or foul play. Detective Isaac Hansen spoke with local news station WISN about the process he went through that led him to found Backenberg. He told WISN that the sister had an Ancestry.com account that linked to an address connected to her. So I called the local sheriff's department and said, hey, there's a lady living at this address. Do you guys have somebody that can go just pop in? 10 minutes later, she called me and we talked for 45 minutes. She may have originally left home due to an abusive husband, but it's unclear why she stayed away and out of touch all these years, she explained. He would not reveal exactly what they discussed during the 45-minute phone call, saying, I told Aubrey I'd keep it private. She had her reasons. Well, according to the Suffolk County Sheriff, Chip Meister, we would like to acknowledge the work of the investigators, both past and present, despite the significant challenges that many cold cases present. This resolution underscores the importance of continued work and dedication of the Sheriff's Office to providing answers to families in the community. And he said I think she was just removed and, moved on from things and kind of did her own thing and led her life. She sounded happy, confident in her decision, and no regrets. Said that she now lives outside of Wisconsin and is unclear if she plans on reconnecting with family. Well, we have another DNA story. This one comes to us from WTOP. A man has pled guilty to a 2001 murder of a Montgomery County mother. More than 20 years after A woman was found dead inside her Chevy Chase home. A man pled guilty to killing a Montgomery County killing to a killing to her blah, blah, blah. A man pled guilty to her killing in Montgomery County, Maryland Circuit Court Wednesday morning. Eugene Glignor, he's 45, pled guilty to a charge of second-degree murder in the killing of Leslie Prier, which happened in May of 2001. He was arrested in June after forensic genealogy testing helped link him to the cold case killing. It doesn't bring Leslie back, but they know who did it to her, Montgomery County State Attorney John McCarthy said during a news conference Wednesday. There's no such thing as closure, but I'm proud of what we do together, and I'm proud of our continuing search to find creative ways to make people in the community safer. This is coming from a Maryland neighborhood. Remember that. Glilger dated Prier's daughter, Lauren, when she was a teenager. The two broke up years before the homicide, McCarthy said. After the first court appearance in June of 2024, Lauren said, "Never in a million years would we think that this would be that one of our people could hurt Mom." He was initially charged with first-degree murder and faced potential life in prison, but he pled guilty to a lesser charge, second degrees, which carries a maximum of 30 years. He hasn't given a motive for the crime, and there's no evidence to suggest the homicide was premeditated, which would require first degree. It's very hard to establish this. That person premeditated the killing. Now, I will tell you, this was a blunt force trauma case. There were multiple injuries. We've discussed this with the family internally, with some of the difficulties of going to trial and whether there would be a likelihood of a first degree conviction. Several of Prier's siblings are expected to testify during the sentencing hearing, which is scheduled for August 28th. How DNA unveiled evidence of a 23-year-old homicide. DNA was found all over the house where she was killed that pointed to an unknown male who police at the time could not identify. In 2024, investigators took a new method to identify a suspect, which led police to look at DNA samples to try and build a family tree. McCarthy said police identified a distant relative of the suspect who lived in Romania. That led investigators to a familiar name, Glignor. One of his neighbors had tipped off that Glignor may have been related to the homicide in January of 2002. While police were surveilling Glignor, they saw him toss away a bottle he drank from at Dulles International Airport on 9 July. Investigators tested the sample and found it matched the DNA profile from the bloody crime scene, according to court documents. He was taken into custody about a week later. He has no prior criminal history that would otherwise have led law enforcement to upload his DNA into the database, which holds DNA from convicted offenders, unsolved crime scene evidence, and missing persons. In order to use the familiar DNA, McCarthy said police had to show that they'd exhausted all other avenues of investigations. It was sort of a last resort. All right, so there you go. 23andMe or Ancestry.com. They will catch you, Wendell. They will catch you eventually. So, all right. We're at the top of the hour, and I guess I'm just going to kind of skip over some of these. Just with a headline, Simon Cowell says he turned down $150,000 to judge a couple having sex. What? So apparently a guy came up to a restaurant and said, "Hey, I'll give you $150,000 if you'll do this." Wow. All right. Would you judge us having sex? Apparently he thought it was a joke, but he ended up convincing him that no, we will pay you. And it was actually a lot of money. And I thought, no, I just can't do it. He cites the interaction as bizarre. You think? All right. And this is going to be something coming out. Is methylene blue RFK Jr.'s secret to staying healthy at any age? And I haven't done any homework on this, but apparently Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy is using methylene blue And that is what a lot of celebrities are using. And it touts that it can boost energy, metabolism, enhance cognitive function, and combat aging. All right. Though evidence remains limited. So it was first used in 1980s as a textile dye. A visionary physician, Paul Eldridge, discovered methylene's blue antimicrobial properties against malaria, making it the first synthetic drug in modern medicine. Today, this century-old compound is FDA approved for methylglobnia, a condition in which the blood cannot carry oxygen, but has garnered renewed interest for its off-label applications, enhancing mitochondrial, that's the energy inside your cells, function, and combating neurodegenerative diseases, and as an adjunct to the treating of long COVID. All right. And apparently Donald Trump has taken over for the first lady duties, and he's redesigning the Rose Garden, and he's greeting tours, and Melania is MIA. And then this headline, I'll just let you go find on your own. This comes to us from the Daily Wire. AOC dared Tom Holman to come after her for helping illegal, and, well, he replied. So go have fun with that headline. All right, well, it's the top of the hour. It's a little past the top of the hour, and let's get into what we normally do. Thank you to thank you to Yerg's Radio, radio.com, Radio Rainbow Radio, and soon Right Talk Radio. I don't think it's in service yet. Radio X in Australia, and to Pine Island FM. What we do here is somewhat of a prepper show. It's more of an anti-prepper show because, well, we tell you why you didn't die today instead of why you did die today. I watched a guy, he was angry at his viewers on his show because they were commenting, for 10 years you've been telling us we're going to die and we haven't died yet. And he went and pointed out all the bad things that had happened in the past 10 years. But his headline was pretty much, you're going to die today. So Chris says, evidence remains limited. We know this is great news, but we want to keep this exclusively for the elite. Yes, you are correct. You're correct. And, well, he would be one of the elite. So one of the ways we keep this topic going for the non-prepping prepper is by giving a small brief of what the president would give. And before it starts, we kick it off with sometimes some real topical humor. Sometimes it's something that's funny. Sometimes it's just silliness. So you never know what you're going to get. But you do know that the second hour of the show, you're going to get some hard facts. This comes to us from the FEMA National Watch Center. It is the daily operations briefing for Thursday, 8th of May, 2025. It was presented to the president at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, but they've eliminated all the secret squirrel stuff for us. All right, so national current operations that they're monitoring, there is no new significant operations, and there are no new declarations. They are monitoring severe thunderstorms in southern plains, Tennessee Valley, that's this guy here, the Southeast, and the Southern Appalachia. That's the West Virginia and the other side of the Smoky Mountains. Heavy rain, flash flooding, Southern Plains, and the Northeast. Yes, that's correct. So we do have, let's just go ahead and point this out before my friend sends me a picture. In the higher elevations of Colorado, there is some mixed precipitation and chance of that Yankee dander. All right, so we got that out of the way. There's some scattered showers from Idaho back up to the Northeast, all the way across Montana and Nebraska, and a little tip of Wyoming there. You may see some scattered showers. And then in the Four Corners region, you could also see some scattered showers. Texas now, on the other hand, along the southern border, you can be prepared for some severe thunderstorms. And at the time this was made, they were prognosticating them to be more in the Texas part of the panhandle. But since then, we'll look at the live radar, they have shifted, and that severe chance is now over in Louisiana, and Louisiana will be receiving a large amount of rain volume. And so Louisiana is under the gun at the moment. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee, you're in the gun early evening. Later tonight, this is going to move over to the East Coast and up into the Northeast. Now, there is a possibility of a tornado coming out in Northeast Alabama, Northeast Georgia, specifically the Tennessee Valley, aka Knoxville, Johnson City, that area. And then later this afternoon, that will move up through southwestern Virginia into West Virginia. And then by tonight, you could anticipate some heavy rain and flooding along the, we'll call it the Delmarva coastline, going up to almost New England, and a very, very, very slight risk of some tornadic activity. But the severe thunderstorms could be more intense in New England than what you're used to. So please be weather aware, and please have a weather radio that is powered by both battery and electricity. For Friday, well, the southeast, you're going to get some rain, scattered rain, but most of it's going to move up to the northeast, up in the mid-Atlantic, Chesapeake Bay, the I-95 corridor, up through Maine. You can expect to see some spotty showers on the upper end of the I-95 corridor. In the Maine region, you can expect to see the heaviest precipitation, while it will be to the south of the I-95 corridor, all the way down to almost the Keys. It will just be spotty and back over to the west, but you can still anticipate seeing some scattered showers. Now, on Saturday, it's going to get a little bit clearer, but there's still the potential, as always, during the summer in the southeast for a pop-up shower. So be weather aware, and that Yankee dander is still possible in the higher elevations of Colorado for the next 2 days. Let's look at where they're calling for the most extensive rainfall. And as we talked about yesterday, it was in Texas. Today, it is moving over towards Louisiana, and it's going to extend inland pretty much all over Georgia and Alabama, right up to the Tennessee line, extend over to Florida. And you can expect on the Floridian coast, on the East Coast, to get some heavy rains and flooding. And that's going to continue throughout the day and move up the coastline, Savannah, Charleston, Outer Banks, and then towards the Chesapeake Bay, where it'll break up for a bit. And then later in the afternoon, New England will get the most rain. But you're going to expect some intense rainfall in that area. For the Northeast, it'll make mud season that much more fun. All right, so Thursday and Friday, it's pretty much as we discussed. Saturday, looks like most of the country is dry, except for maybe a pop-up shower in the south. The hazard outlook for the next few days, they're calling it to be mainly the hazardous heat, which is going to be back in the southwest, Southern California, and then the flooding along the Mississippi corridor coming down through Louisiana, with heavy rainfall along the Atlantic seaboard. Space weather, there is really nothing to report. No impacts. And the wildlife fire we talked about yesterday is now 27% contained. That's Brunswick, North Carolina. If we look at their operations picture, we see that they're still worrying about the severe weather in the southeastern region here. Specifically, the Tennessee Valley is where they're calling for the worst stuff this afternoon. So I just keep looking over my shoulder and waiting to see it happen. And then, of course, the heavy rains down along the Gulf of America and in the east coast of Florida. Those are going to be the regions today. All right, let's see where our commander-in-chief is. I believe he's going to be leaving for out of the country soon, isn't he? All right, so 8:45 a.m., press had to show up early. At 10 a.m., he was to make a trade announcement. I did not see what that was before we went live. And at noon, the president and the first lady participate in a celebration of military mothers, and only pre-credentialed media are allowed. But for the trade talks, it's open to the White House press pool. I'll check with my friend Penguin6 and see what his video of the day is. Make sure to check him out and tell him that I sent you, because, well, he's a great guy. All right, so let's go over to the DEF CON. And I did look again, and I don't know what color our M&M is. We're at Bravo level, or Alpha level for HepCon, Bravo for ForceCon. But UK is listed as probable, and in the Australian area, they're listed as like substantial. I may have that backwards, but basically everybody's on high alert. May 8th, the China Coast Guard expulsion of a Japanese vessel has escalated tensions. The islands are administered by Japan as the Cynical Islands, but claimed by China as the Dayun, creating a persistent territorial dispute. North Korea, well, he's firing short-range missiles into the Sea of Japan. South Korea Joint Chiefs of Staff. North Korea fires unidentified ballistic missiles into the East Sea. India-Pakistan operations continue. They're continuing to sling missiles and shots back and forth at each other. And then, of course, the initial missile attack began back on the early morning hours for us of the 6th. And, of course, Israel did bomb the airport in Yemen. So, as we can see, everybody's on edge right now. If we could just remain calm, we're going to get through this. So, areas of global risk are Israel, Pakistan, Mali, I did not know that, Nigeria, Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, Myanmar, Iraq, Niger, Ukraine, and Israel. And in the United States, they're on a heightened elevated watch in New York, Washington, D.C., other major metropolitan areas such as L.A., and specific major events in public gatherings. So always be aware of your surroundings. All right, that is our DEFCON level. We'll go to the National Weather Service daily briefing, and they've updated theirs a little bit. We still see the severe weather down in the, I guess we'll just call that the tip down there of Texas, just the tip of Texas in the Gulf of America, with the isolated thunderstorms back to the Midwest. Tennessee is really going to be where they're expecting later this afternoon the nasty bad stuff to be, and along the east coast of Florida, but now they're calling it up through the Georgia coastline. The spotty rain showers are pretty much going to be the 95 corridor, pretty much from Maine to New England, back over to, well, really the Midwest and Kansas. Spotty showers. And then later today, Washington, D.C., you can anticipate some heavy rains, flash flooding, and serious thunderstorms. Do not rule out the possibility of tornadic activity. And we look here and see pretty much for tomorrow, Friday, May 9th, it's Friday, we will have rain pretty much from, well, Canada, all the way down the 95 corridor, pretty much to the Keys, back into the deep south, almost all the way over to Arkansas, covering all of East Tennessee. Well, covering all of Tennessee, technically. And in day 3, which is Saturday, we all live for Saturdays, that extensive low is going to be finally pushing out. That's where you can see some lingering thunderstorms, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, pushing out that way. It doesn't look to be too severe, though, over the weekend. And then scattered pop-up showers as that low pressure is down along the Gulf Coast of America and is kind of pushing out to sea. So this is a typical summer pop-up thunderstorms in the south. So that's pretty much the main thing there. Let's go back to the main page. Where was I? And see if I missed anything. The tropics, they are going to be starting to watch something here, but they haven't really called it anything significant yet. So they are keeping an eye on a thing. It's more in the Pacific at the moment, but it's right there around Ecuador, so it could kind of go either way. They're keeping their eyes on it, but they haven't called it anything or given it even a number yet. So let's see. We've covered all of that. Let's go and look at, these are off of the maps from NandoCast, and we look here, their prediction for the most severe weather. Well, what do you know? East Tennessee. The windiest area will be the Gulf of America, down at Texas and inland. It's supposed to be pretty rough. And on the eastern side of the Appalachia, there's some high winds expected, as well as East Tennessee. And then from the 95 corridor all the way down to pretty much Miami, with the east coast of Florida getting some bashing with some high wind. Gusts up to 50 are expected. And in some of those storms, they're saying you could get 2-inch size hail. So keep your eyes on that. Well, and that brings us to the next thing. We're most hail, lower Texas there in the Gulf of America, East Tennessee, the other side of the Smoky Mountains and the Appalachia over in the Carolinas can anticipate seeing some hail today with those severe storms, but the risks are today from upstate New York all the way down through to Miami and back over to the southeast, with also that section of Florida. National Weather Service is saying the highest chance for tornadic activity is us here in Tennessee today, but they're only calling it 2%. But remember, they had Florida ranked less than that, and they had one, or they had actually several on the East Coast. I don't think they ended up doing any damage, and they had the one in the Keys that crossed the islands. And then a slight chance, 2% down in South Texas. All right. And the wind outlook, well, the same areas with high winds, 15% chance of high winds in the Tennessee Valley, Smoky Mountain region, and then pretty much from the DC region down to, we'll call that Cocoa Beach. Cape Canaveral, I know you were anticipating some gale force winds later today. And then the next day, we're going to be calling for the winds to die down slightly. And then the hail outlook for all of that is, according to the National Weather Service, those same areas we've already discussed. Let's look at the current radar. We're running pretty close on time here. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go to the Australian forecast. All right. So this morning in Australia, those of our listeners on Radio X, inlands, you can anticipate some fog and a little bit of frost. And the only real areas of rain will be down along the coastline in Sydney. It won't make its way inland, but some of the wind will, which will make it feel a little bit cooler in New South Wales. Over in Western Australia, that breeze is going to make you guys feel hotter. So right now, it looks like it's pretty much an overcast day. And in the central part of the continent, there is some light frost and fog expected closer to the coastlines. Let's look at the current radar, and we see that really the only thing happening is right around Brisbane and Sydney, and it's off the coastline, so it's not really doing much. And then there's a small thunderstorm kind of to the northwest in Queensland. Let's look at the precipitation that they're predicting. Really nothing onshore except maybe slightly inland in Brisbane. Otherwise, there's not going to be much precipitation. The winds, well, they're fairly calm for you guys. It's going to be a windy day, though, on the coast of New South Wales because of that low down there that's kind of controlling everything down around Melbourne. Tasmania, you're going to have a cool, brisk morning with a little bit of wind and fog. Western Australia, that wind's going to do nothing but keep you warmer. Currently, let's look at temperatures, and this is current. So we find in the south side of Canberra, it's 36. Melbourne, 50. Down in Hobart in Tasmania, it's 54. Brisbane, 63. Up in Cairns, 72. Darwin, 78. That's the high right now. Over in Broome and Port Hedland, it's 76. And then when you get down to Perth, it's a little cooler, but you can anticipate that warming up later today. All right, let's hop up to the States and see what we got going on up here. And Chris, it is 70 degrees in Columbus, 81 Atlanta. It's about 76 here in Knoxville. Washington, D.C., 76. New York City, 74. Boston, 66. And let's see what it is up in Vermont, 47 in Burlington. And hop over to the Midwest, or short Midwest, Chicago, 53. Minneapolis, 66. Sioux Falls, 75. And 75 all the way down in Omaha. Kansas, it's not quite time for barbecue, but it's pretty close. 71. Tulsa, 68. The highest temperature in the country right now belongs to Houston. It's 85. Tampa, you're close with 83. Down in the Keys, it's in the 80s. Wendell, over by you, it's about 80 degrees. It's 84 Montgomery. Las Vegas, 78. It's also 85 in Phoenix. I didn't see that there. So Phoenix and Houston, you are tied for the warmth. Seattle, 56. Portland, 59. What is it in Yakima? It's always cooler in Yakima. 62 in Yakima. We jump down into Oregon. Eugene, 61. Grants Pass in the Bend is 61. Redmond, 62. And then Crescent City You are 52 in extreme Northern California. LA or San Francisco 58, LA 73. All right. So there is your current temperatures. Let's look at current weather warnings and we'll see if Andy's got his test. Look at that. First one up there. Test message. And of Tennessee has already been issued a severe thunderstorm warning. That's for Benton and Henry. That's in Middle Tennessee, so it's not quite to me yet. And special marine warning. And where is that one for? That is down off of the coast of Texas in the Gulf of America. And let's see. Severe thunderstorms. Texas has got some severe thunderstorms in Brewster, in Pecos, in Terrell, and let's see. Kentucky is severe thunderstorm warning. Illinois has got a special weather statement. That's probably because of the high winds that are coming later today. Houston and Humphrey counties, or is that Houston and Humphrey counties, severe thunderstorm warning in Tennessee. And let's see, small craft advisory along the Great Lakes. Rip current down in Florida. My son's visiting down there, but this is in the Gulf of America from Tallahassee back over to Pensacola. And there's a red flag warning in North Dakota. Red flag means that conditions are favorable with relative humidity values falling into the lower teens, combined with southwesterly winds as much as 25 miles an hour, gusting to 42. Chance for an isolated dry thunderstorm, which could cause for fire. So be weather aware for that red flag warning up to the northwest section of North Dakota. And let's see. Let me catch back up here. Frost advisory in parts of Wisconsin and Texas, all kinds of special weather statements. That's due to the winds coming inland and the storms moving to the northeast. And let's see. Special weather statement in Minnesota and severe thunderstorm watch in Kentucky. And here we go. This has got all parts of Tennessee for a severe thunderstorm watch for the next 6 or 7 hours. Flood warnings down in Mississippi. That does surprise me. In Louisiana, that will be a thing for you as well. And later today over in Florida. So, all right. So let's look at what it's actually doing out there right now. Let's have a look-see at the national radar and see what it's doing. We got just about a half hour left. And we see those storms right there. What is that? That is in, my geography fails me again. What part of Texas is this? So the southwest section of Texas is having a severe thunderstorm at the moment. Good Lord. And most of this is moving offshore, but that's also creating that back effect with the winds coming in. So keep an eye on that. Currently, it's not raining in Louisiana, so count your blessings as that's trying to move offshore. So that's a good thing. We see that in the Gulf of America is where those storms are, but they're going to cross to the north of Tampa and affect the Palm Coast over here, Jacksonville, Palm Coast, down along the Space Coast, all the way down to Palm Bay. And they're going to get hammered today. And then up the Georgia coastline, you can anticipate being hammered with those thunderstorms as they catch this energy and combine with this that is currently off the coast of the Outer Banks, Oak Islands to the north, all the way up to the state line there in the Carolinas. And we move up to East Tennessee, and we see that we are currently under a severe thunderstorm watch, and there are some severe thunderstorms. Central Tennessee, down around Chattanooga, those are moving to the east, northeast slowly. Up here in Fort Wayne in Indiana, they've already got some specific thunderstorms, nothing too heavy at the moment. We'll look at Evansville. That one looks kind of severe. We'll look at the electrical activity here in a minute. Up in the northeast, let's see what we have. Pennsylvania, Allentown to the northeast. Scranton, it's to the south of you. I'm sorry, to the east of you. And then up here in New Hampshire, going into Maine, a small cell. Let's take a look at the electrical activity and see what it's doing. Ooh, it's lit up. My goodness, is it lit up. All right, so let's go down here to Texas where we started out earlier. Midland, south of Midland, is where that cell is located. It's got some power to it. But look here off the coast. Goodness gracious. Look at all that energy. If you are on an oil rig out in this area right now, seek shelter. You do not want to be on an oil rig during an electrical storm. Nope, nope, nope. And that electricity continued. No, Wendell, I haven't talked to him. That electrical activity continues pretty much all along the coastline of the Gulf of America, up along Texas, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Pensacola, back over all the way down past Tallahassee. And that's going to push to the northeast, cross over Florida, central Florida, and that's where it's going to light up the east coast of Florida. And we see already here on the coast of Georgia and Carolinas. You see Hilton Heads get lit up. Down here, we can see just to the north of Brunswick. And then, of course, the Outer Banks is getting it as well. So hang tight there. And let's look up here into the northeast. That storms are currently northwest of us at this time. They're moving in a northeasterly manner, which means they're going to swoop down. They're going to get locked in this little valley here. What happens is this section of East Tennessee is all a valley, this area you see in gray here. So the storms will be on both sides of this, and it will dump right in the center of the valley with some heavy rain and thunderstorm with intense electrical activity anticipated. Up to the northeast, it doesn't look to be anything. Maybe north of Harrisburg, there's a small cell, and maybe a small cell over, I guess that would be Delaware. Is that right? Yeah, I guess it would be Delaware. But it's a real tiny one. Let's take a look and see where the power is currently having the most problems. We see California right now is having the highest power outages. There are 13,604 people without power. Texas, 3,986. Louisiana, 3,574. Pennsylvania, you're about caught up from that storm. 2,248. Minnesota, 2,119. Let's see if we can see in California. It looks like Inyo County is where most of the power outages are. They're only claiming 192 there, but what did they say for California is 13,966? That seems like must be here. Oh, there's 2,000 there. All right, so it's throughout the state, spotty. We didn't see anything over in California. Wonder if it's just due to the amount of people. All right, let's move on. And Wendell, I messaged him. He has yet to either read the message or look at the videos, one or the other. I don't know. All right, so the air quality, let me refresh this a little bit because I didn't see any red flag warnings or any news of red flag warnings today. So that was good news, especially where they'd had them over in the Midwest, in the West. It looks now pretty much your smog on the California coastline is the big story on the West Coast. Down on the Texas coastline inland, is where they're most concerned with moderate air quality. And then today, all of Georgia, all of the Carolinas, and then here in the Tennessee Valley is a moderate air quality day. Spotty up along Louisville, Cincinnati, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis. That'll be Nashville there. And back to the Midwest, Kansas City in a portion of the Dakotas. Let's look at my favorite lying map. This comes to us from the Weather Channel. It is the allergy map. The tree pollen map. Oh, they're saying we're code green today. I've actually been outside today. It wasn't too bad. Most of the code red is across parts of Ohio, Illinois, Indiana. I guess that would be going into the Midwest all the way to Kansas City, as far down as maybe Oklahoma. And in the Midwest, it's kind of spotty code red days out there, but it's code orange for most of the West and Midwest. The red is pretty much the center streak, about the top third of the country. Let's look at the weed pollen. Nothing substantial as of yet. Yes, I know that. And the grass pollen, well, it's getting summertime, and so the grass is getting greener and greener. So that's just popping up. Just picture it from going from the deep south, from Texas to the Keys, going upwards and inching slowly. It's all the way through the south, southeast, Midwest. It's creeping into the northeast, Cincinnati, Ohio, up into the northeast up there. So it's coming for you up there as it warms up. The aches and pains map for today, according to the Weather Channel, well, due to the thunderstorms here in the south, it's kind of high. And then it's elevated back up here to the, what you call that? The Midwest, I guess, the northern Midwest, up into the Montanas and Dakotas. Up in that area is where they're calling for the most aches and pains of the day. Let's see if there's no other maps to show there on the Weather Channel. You can go check them out over on the Weather Channel. And we'll look at the wind map for the U.S. And I'll use this one first before we get into a lot of the pollens. And we see this really hasn't changed much over the past 2 days. And that's because that low has just sat there and hasn't really moved. It stalled out. So it's kind of just hanging tight where it is. It's kind of a pain in the tuchus. Look at the smoke map, and it really hasn't changed much from yesterday. The smoke is coming down from the wildfires in Canada up into the Dakotas, and then the fires are extending from Mexico up into the, I guess we just say up into Texas and Louisiana region. Nothing that severe. Then let's look at the overall picture here of everything. This is for those of you that are watching or listening. This is the AI generated pollen smoke pollutant map that comes to us from IQ Air. It takes and shows us where the wind streams are, how they're blowing, and what's being blown with them. And it shows us in various color intensities as to what they are. We're no longer getting any of the dust or smoke off of the African continent. That has got a break at the moment. But we see that a lot of the smoke from pretty much Panama north to Mexico is being caught up in the Gulf of America and pushed up pretty much, the eastern half of the country. It's splitting at the Rocky Mountains. But then up there, they have that little turbulence where it's coming down from Canada from their wildfires. So most of the harsh stuff is once again on the top side of the equator. It looks like over here where everything's going astray is where the worst air quality is. I'm going to say when things are going astray for people on the air, I'm talking about the Middle East where the war zone and conflicts are. Those are some of the areas with the worst air quality. If we were to zoom in to the Middle East, you see most of it is code yellow to code red. Tel Aviv is, well, it's code brown. It's reddish brown. Drop down to Australia. Yeah, let me back up here because I do have some listeners. Believe it or not, I do have some listeners that are over here on the Russian front of Ukraine. So let's check out their air quality and see what it is. I got to find it first here. Let me find my map. There we go. And they're kind of almost a code yellow day today in Ukraine. It looks like their winds are coming from the northeast and pushing to the southwest over Ukraine. So most of their wind is coming down and hitting into the Black Sea. And so there you go. Over in Australia, or down in Australia, your winds, that little low is really dominating down off of the coast of Tasmania and Adelaide, and it's just creating that circular crossover wind effect. It's made for a pretty breezy day, except for Sydney, where it's probably windiest, and it's created the warmth over on the western part of the coast. But your air is fairly decent for today. Am I trying to do a Brokeback Mountain with my microphone? What is it you're implying, Soul? I don't know what you mean. What the hell do you mean, Soul? I have no idea what you're talking about. Space weather conditions. We see today their code green. We'll look at the aurora for the next 24 hours. Aurora, and see that, well, it's not going to drop down anywhere near the lower 48. So we cannot anticipate seeing the northern lights. You don't typically see them unless there's a sunstorm. All right, we've got about 15 minutes left. Let's take a look at the fires here. Over here, we talked about this one, Black Swamp. They're saying is 60% contained. Rock Creek on this side of the Appalachia, 94% contained. 97 for Table Rock. And then down south of that, Big Ridge, 88%. Most of these up here to the west in the Midwest and, well, actually to the west of Mississippi. Most of those are prescribed burns. They have them under control. Down here in Miami, they're trying to burn in the Everglades, trying to burn off some of the swampland down there. So Wendell says, don't quit my day job. This is my day job. Our Soul said, don't quit my day job. This is my day job, Soul. Are you trying to insult me, Soul? I'm confused. I'm always confused, though. All right, we'll look at the NASA map of the fire map and see what we got going here. And we see that, well, pretty much all these little red dots are fires that have been spotted by satellite, are potential fires that have been spotted by satellite. The others are actually free burning fires. And we can see that the ones over in the Appalachian Mountains are the ones that are the largest. And then they still have this back up here in Tom's River that still kind of confuses me. I wonder if they're still doing some back burning up there in is Tom's River in New Jersey up there. I wonder if they're doing some back burning as well. That is staying on the NASA map for so long. The code red for fire today is up in North Dakota, where the winds and humidity are just right. So be weather aware up there. All right, this is the big, beautiful, perfect blue globe, where we can see all of the wind patterns in the earth, on the earth, not in the earth. And we can see that, well, there's nothing on the Atlantic or Pacific side that's really concerning. They're concerned with something down here I saw them talking about, but they haven't really called it anything yet. And they're saying it's because the air is pushing up from below the equator and it's meeting with air coming down from the north to the west that is cooler. So that could be a cause for concern later. But there's nothing tightly formed, nothing in any of the oceans that have them concerned at the moment. Well, I say that, and then what is this? That is just a tightly formed, I guess would that be considered that's not really a cyclone, but there's a pretty tight windstorm to the northwest of the Antarctic. Go up to you in Australia, and your wind pattern is pretty much as we talked about, coming off of the Sydney coastline. It's going to be windy inland. It's going to be a little bit frosty and foggy as you're waking up. It's currently around 3 a.m. your time, depending on where you're at. And so, yeah, when you wake up, it may be a bit chilly, but it'll warm up throughout the day and be a pretty easy, generally breezy day. All right, so the latest earthquakes, let me update this to make sure I didn't miss any. Most recent one was 4 hours, 23 minutes ago, and that was in eastern Mongolia, western Turkey before that at 4.5 hours ago. 5.4 in Peru, Ecuador. That was almost 7 hours ago, or a little over 7 hours ago. 4.1 in Myanmar, 11 hours ago. 4.4, 15 hours ago in Chile. In Italy, 17 hours ago. 2.7, 18 hours ago. 4.7 off the coast of Kamchatka. I'm going to assume that is the islands off of the, well, let's just, where can I see it on a map? Can I see it on a map? No, I can't on this one. All right, we'll pull it up on the other map. I think that is the Alaskan Islands. And in Peru, 3.8 over 24 hours ago. All right, let's switch over to this where we can look at the map view and see. We'll pull that one up. That was 2.8 off of the the island coast of Alaska. Yeah, that's where we talked about, up in there. These are the most recent one here is in New Mexico, Eunice, New Mexico, 3.1 in Eunice, New Mexico. It looks like there's been two of them right there close together. There was a second one in Eunice. And so Eunice, you've had two earthquakes, a 3.6 and a 3.1 in New Mexico. And then they had one the other day that was in Westbrook, Texas, a 3.0. And those are the most recent earthquakes. Volcanic activity has been pretty quiet. We're still monitoring the islands. When I say the islands, I mean Hawaii, because of their activity. All right, let's look at the event list before we run out of time today. We start off with biological warnings, and we're only going to go back in time for about 24 hours. And we see that Japan has a bird flu suspected in mass deaths of sea animals. In India, 1,000 equines on Kedarnath route in quarantine after a virus outbreak. Namibia, 25 cases of African horse sickness has been confirmed in several regions. Australians, kilotons of dead salmon spark call for a farm scrutiny. And South Korea, measles have set a 6-year high. We'll go talk about epidemics. Canada, Providence's warning of measles. And the United States, Hep A in LA. We talked about that already. And Thailand, fourth case. It was only one case yesterday. It's fourth case of anthrax now. And we go down to cyber attacks. The Republic of China. China's cyber attacks are targeting Taiwanese, and assuming it's their critical infrastructure. Security and conflicts. Most recent one. There are no recent ones. That's good news. Mass displacement in Congo. They're facing a humanitarian emergency in Africa. We talk about a public safety incident in Poland. A woman was killed by an axe at Warsaw University in Poland. In Japan, 5 employees reportedly injured by intruders at Tokyo primary school. 1 student dead, 2 injured at a stabbing near a Southern California high school. 9 injured in a shooting in Oklahoma City. And in terrorism, Niger, 10 soldiers were killed by terrorists in Africa. And in war, we know bad things are going on in Ukraine and Israel and over in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And we see there was an explosion in Pakistan. 3 explosions rocked Lahore. Emergency response team has finally reached the site. It's in Pakistan and Asia. And then series of explosions near the port in Cyprus. And Australia, 2 more children die after a suspicious house fire, and bringing the death toll to 3. And actually, I believe I read the headlines that the mother coated the children and the interior of the house in gas and then lit it on fire. I believe that's the story. So it was an intentional act by the parent. Such a shame. Needs to be dealt with in a fierce and quick response. Large fire at a nightclub forces it to shut down for upcoming weeks in the UK. In the Canary Wharf fire, dozens evacuated as a blaze ripped through a East London flat. And a property agricultural fire in Witham Friary, UK. And let's see. Outdoor fires we've talked about. We've talked about earthquakes and volcanoes. We are still monitoring all of those. And then let's see. Floods we've talked about. And power grid, Mexico blackouts are affecting neighborhoods in the center and north of the city. In Mexico City, in South Africa, more than 100 vultures have died at a mass poisoning in a national park. North Korea fires a ballistic missile into the sea. In Nigeria, 5 siblings die of food poisoning, mothers in critical condition. Malaysia, dead pigeons in Padang, Idaf for no new infectious disease deaths reported. And a traffic accident. Well, let's see. Let me rephrase that. 6 dead as a helicopter carrying Shar Dham pilgrims crashes in India. In Finland, a Finnish fighter jet has crashed into the Laplands. In public road incidents, Japan, 2 dead after a boat capsizes in western Japan. And in India, 5 school children killed in an accident. And Czech highway flooded with beer cans after a crash in the Czech Republics. South Africa, 18 injured in Atterbury Road collision. Cambodia, bus transporting Cambodian garment workers crashes, leaving 1 dead, 41 injured. Indonesia, 11 killed, 5 injured after a truck collided with a bus. And water incidents, nothing to report there. Drought, we've talked about. Dust storms, well, Iran is having a very large dust storm affecting 13 million residents, and so is Saudi Arabia. They're having some severe dust storms. It's that time of year. And other weather events, and let's see, nothing significant to report. All right, let's jump over here. We'll look at, this is the brightly colored map that shows us pretty much the same things we just talked about. And we can see that, let's see, the active hazards are the rainfall. Let's come over here to the U.S. and see most active is to the rainfall and landslides in the Appalachia in New York. There's a landslide in New York. All right, that's probably due to the heavy rains. And then frost in Ontario. Wildfires back up in North Dakota. And then we talked about the earthquake down there. Let's go down to Australia and see. And it's pretty much the rain that we're talking about. And then frost in some of the higher elevations down into the southern area of Australia. And most of the other stuff is wind to report. All right, we're going to make it to today, at least briefly, to the news live map. Let's pull it up live here. We'll start. We're at the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and see what they have there. There's several things. One of them is, there's apparently early details of U.S.-UK trade deal. U.S. tariffs on U.K. cars are cut to 10%. UK tariffs on UF beef cut to 25% on UK steel. It's reduced, and UK automakers 100,000 export quota at a lower tariff rate. They also announced at major trade deals with the UK. And if talks go well this weekend with China, would you then consider lowering the tariff rate? President said, well, it could be. We're going to see. Right now, you can't get it any higher. I think we're going to have a very good relationship. You can't get any higher. Say that again. China desperately wants to conclude a trade deal, according to the president. And in D.C., and this is in the 1400 block of 4th Street Southwest. This is a box alarm fire, which is a small fire. And in D.C., they've also had a carjacked vehicle with bailout, 3 in custody. D.C. Police Department on scene. All right, good for them. They got the bad guy. And what is this up in southeast or northeast? Investigating another armed carjacking. Carjackings are on the rise up there. Actually, they're on the rise pretty much everywhere. We'll zoom out a little bit and try and hit some of the areas close to where we know our listeners are. Up for Denise up in New Jersey. It looks like most of these are in the Bronx. All hands fire. That one there is a all hands fire. And down into the Bronx, they've had 3 all hands fires. All right, that's a pretty large fire. Up into the Northeast, there's been 4 people were injured in an ambush-style shooting, Hartford, Connecticut, Wednesday night. Providence, Rhode Island. Warwick police conducted a well-being check Thursday on Washington Street, and gunshots were heard shortly after officers arrived. That's never good news. Nothing up in the Northeast. We'll start skipping over a little bit to the center of the country. And we'll see down here in Louisville, woman injured in Pleasure Ridge Park shooting. And nothing really down in my neck of the woods in North Carolina. Body found at Forest Lawn Cemetery. That is in High Point, North Carolina. And Gastonia shooting at a Charlotte gas station. Greenville, South Carolina. Teen arrested after senior skip day school shooting at a Greenville County park. Okay. Atlanta, we've always got some boom boom down there. DeKalb police, yes, our neighbors, they are investigating a shooting that left a woman critically injured. There's a shocker. Mobile, Alabama, woman dies after a car crash. Wendell, over towards you. Doesn't appear anything has made the news. We'll hop up here towards Chris, where there's a fire in Chicago. And then, of course, there's some things that go boom. Male 19 shot in the right leg. All right, we're running out of time, so let's just skip right ahead to the Bit Defender. And just know that the red are attacks, the yellow are orange are infections, the white are spam, and that, well, America is primarily the one being targeted by Russia and Asia. It looks like our neighbors down to the south in Australia, they leave you alone. David Breckmeyer is up next. He's got a great show. Make sure to check it out and continue listening on Radio X Australia, Yerg's Radio, and Right Talk Rainbow. Did I say Rainbow Radio? Make sure to continue listening there. I am done here on the Para Our Normal, guys. You can come back and watch any of my shows. We had a great show last night. If you didn't catch it on Radio X in Australia or live, come to the Para Our Normal Guys, 3 words, Para Our Normal, and guys with a Z, and check it out. You will see that we had a great talk with a sex therapist for 2 hours. So come check it out and enjoy the show. Please come over to my YouTube channel. We really need you to like, follow, share, and subscribe. We're trying to get monetized, and we are so close. And we thank all of you. Thank you to everybody in the chat. You are wonderful as always. Thanks for hanging out with me for a few hours. I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Till then, everybody have a great day. Sportcat is out.